I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, $125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. $125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed.
Yep.
Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in a Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the village, facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Next song we have up is Overkill Scorched, and the homie Ben, an often overlooked band in the old guard thrashosphere, is Overkill. Hailing from New Jersey, this is the opening and title track of their latest album.
All right, here we go. This is newly released Overkill Scorched. Let's go. Yes, Pinkman. Okay, that was Scorch. What was it?
Scorched by the band Overkill.
Is it just Scorched?
Yeah, Scorched. Scorched.
Scorched by the band Overkill. That was a thrash metal classic, but
Yep.
it's only 3 months old.
Yeah,
right?
it's heavy, and then it also felt like it had like some like rock in the middle there, or toward the end there.
No, I agree.
Was it around the 3-minute mark? I guess.
They had some decent time signature changes. Like they caught you on one, you thought it was another song. I knew it was.
I did.
I knew it was another song. I knew. Some of us know metal.
Okay. Well, I know. That's what I said, Amy. I said I think she's sleeping.
I know.
Way down deep in the fire.
Amy, she's a slacker.
Way down deep in the flame. Way down deep in the hole I dug. Way down deep in the pain. I'm a flash in your atmosphere, atomic wind blowing into your night. Crash and burn, let me make it clear, and give him just a little light. Will you miss me when I'm gone? Will you kiss me at my rebirth? What do you think this song is about? I mean,
I just think
I know what I read into
it's
it.
about like what the music does. Like the music resets everything for him. is how I interpreted it. I thought it was a song about like Scorch the Earth was like just listen to music and whatever is bothering you, that just it'll go. That's what it says. Speak to me in my tongue. Where is that line?
Ooh, that
Speak
was
to
it?
me in my own tongue. Scorch the earth, all the land, my son.
Wow.
It's a little subtle, but I think it might be about burning stuff. Negative Vibes says. Very, very funny. Negative Vibes. Go ahead. What did you think the song was about?
Well, I kind of thought that because he said at the beginning, deep in the fire, deep in the flame, deep in the hole I dug, deep in the pain. So then he says, I'm a flash in your atmosphere, atomic wind blowing into your night. And then he says atomic. Okay, so I just kind of got from that he was in the middle of a situation, but it was something he created. He put himself in that situation because it's the hole he dug, and he's in the hole that he dug, but he's also acknowledging that it's a very painful place for him to be, even though he put himself there.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he says, I'm a flash in your atmosphere, I thought, because I always make everything about a relationship song, I thought it was he was talking to the person that he's with and saying, like, he wasn't going to be there very long. But I'm not sure if it was actually for, like you said, more of like the audience, because he says, crash and burn, let me make it clear, and give him just a little light. Like maybe it was like the people, the crowd, like he that's how he feels, but he's going to put it out with his music, and he's going to give them a little light before he goes. And then he says, will you miss me when I'm gone? Will you kiss me at my rebirth? So to me, he dug himself a hole so big he doesn't necessarily know if he's going to get out of it, and that's why he's saying, are you going to miss me when I'm gone? Because I'm not going to stay in this situation, in this hole. And then he says, will you kiss me at my rebirth? Which could be one or the other. It could be like he knows that he's going to die and that he's going to, like, there's going to be some sort of a resurrection. Or he's saying that, which kind of that's what it seems, because after he follows it, will you miss me when I'm dead and gone?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it kind of sounds like maybe he's a little bit discouraged in it. Scorch the earth, scorch your brain, scorch your dreams and what remains. Scorch the good, scorch the bad, the best firestorm you've ever had. Like,
no, I think that's probably much closer to what's going on with this guy. Yeah, like the way I've handled people has been described as scorched earth, which is basically like if you go scorched earth, then like there's no turning back. It's kind of like burning a bridge, but burning a bridge is almost not as bad as scorched earth.
Scorched earth reminds me of the Jews and what they like the Romans and the Jews. Remember when they would like burn all the ground and they would salt the earth so that nothing could grow?
Yeah, it was like that.
Scorched earth.
Yeah, it was like that.
But scorched earth has the fire feel to it.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what they would do. They would burn down all your crops and then they put salt and stones on it so that nothing would ever grow there again. It's like burning a bridge makes sense, like tactically speaking. It's like, you don't want this person to come across, and then like, there's a sort of negative connotation, which is you can't go back there. Mm-hmm. But scorching the earth has the connotation not only of like the strategy, but just unnecessary cruelty. But you just want to make it clear, like that person's gone. So you're like unnecessarily cruel, like with scorched earth. It's like you're trying to destroy somebody.
Yeah.
And like that's a different thing than burning a bridge. Like burning a bridge is almost like a passive aggressive type thing. Like
you did this thing. There's a point of no return. Whereas Scorched Earth to me seems to be more like you're completely vindictive, and you're gonna make sure that this situation, that this person is in a irreversible bad situation. Like that's how you want to leave the relationship or whatever.
And I think that when, obviously if you scorch the earth, you are not intending to go back there and take anything from that ground anymore. Like so I think it's the same thing with, or if it was a relationship or whatever, and that's scorched earth.
And a lot of times what happens with people who don't stand up for themselves is that they end up doing that. Because they get pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and
Say
pushed
that again,
and pushed.
people
who don't stand up for themselves. They're more likely to commit this scorched earth tactic than people who do stand up for themselves. Mm-hmm. Because they just get to the point where it's almost like they're afraid to have that confrontation in normal parlance. So they wait until they're like irretrievably furious and then they ventilate. But by that time, they've got months and years of buildup, and they just, So that's one of the reasons I'm such a big guy on, communication and having short bursts of conflict instead of people holding it together, and then now the relationship can't deal with one major crisis or whatever because people have been. But I mean, that's my older brother, I feel like, is kind of like that. He was never allowed to be like a normal person in our little family system. And so like when he got mad at you for a while. It took a lot to get Junior mad at you, but if he really, really, really got mad at you, it was problems. You know what I'm saying? Whereas me, like, I'd get mad immediately. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna box, we're gonna do something, and then I'm good. Like, I'm cool. As long as we can fight it out, we're good. But Junior wasn't like that. I can't believe I'd say this, but I really miss Vin's stupid face. Exactly. A lot of you bums miss my silly face. So, yeah, like, I try to avoid that, although I do see a lot of, there's certain, and it's weird, like, there's certain cultures where, like, that's the only way to break free from that situation. People get caught up in these, like, I mean, I'm saying if our vantage point, like, these church organizations and things like that, like, sometimes to extricate yourself from those folks, you got to kind of go, because, you know.
Well, I think that there's two types of those situations. The one that you're referencing, and there's also the other ones where the church sets it up that the only way that you can leave their religion is to scorch the earth. So then it forces you to stay way longer in that space than you wanted because you didn't want to have to scorch all the ground around you. And
they also make that around marriages too. Like the woman's got to be in like a life, or it's got to get to the point where she's in a life or death situation, and the only way she can escape not only is to divorce, because then there's church people pressuring her to stay. So you got to go, completely scorched earth on both institutions, which is extremely difficult for a lot of people if you don't have a good support system in place when you're dealing with that kind of thing. And that's why it's so hard for a lot of women to get out of those situations, because most women don't have that in their disposition to just set everything on fire.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like most women aren't in those situations. Mm-hmm. It's Neil. But I love bottling things. Yeah, I mean, scorch your brains, scorch your dreams, scorch what remains. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think that he's put himself in a situation because scorch your dreams, scorch what remains. Like,
it's like
scorch the good, scorch the bad. Like it's like,
you have to make those decisions, because sometimes like your dreams are inextricably connected to your nightmares. So, for example, if you have a young lady who all her life her dream was to have kids and the picket fence and all this, and then she gets it, but her husband is like one of these crazy evangelical sort of like, I don't need to ask permission to have sex with you type of crazy people. Like, now her dream is inextricably connected to this kind of a nightmare. And so the only way to save herself from the nightmare is to also set the dream on fire. Mm-hmm. which then she gets born again in the sense that she's got a new life goal that she has to readjust to, because her entire life was like this perspective. Like, we're listening to a lot of ex-Mormons, and family is sort of like the nucleus of their entire theology, philosophy, political, everything. And so it's like they grew up wanting this Mormon ideal, but then they ran into things that they just couldn't reconcile. And a lot of them, you know, people lose their families, all types of shit. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and that's devastating. They'll even encourage people to leave their spouse if the spouse wants to.
Oh.
If one of the spouses wants to leave, they'll let them leave and you can marry someone else.
Oh, 100. Yeah, like, they have that too. Like, don't worry, we got somebody in reserve if your husband's crazy or whatever. It's like, and crazy just means, you know, not following the Mormon stuff. Did you watch Women Talking recently? No. That's a movie. I was actually had it lined up, and all I had to do was hit play to watch it, and I kind of chickened out.
Why?
I think because we were in the middle of watching Handmaid's Tale, and it was just too much. Too much
Why
stuff.
Is it like that?
Yeah, because it's that, but they fight back and they get their own. But like, to get there was just, you know, I got a real problem with that whole system and how that happens with women. Like, I got a real, you know, I have a hard time looking at me. Like, we couldn't even watch Handmaid's Tale because of me. It wasn't because of you. Like, once I saw like some of the opening scenes, like for Handmaid's Tale, we didn't watch it for like 2 years. I couldn't watch it. So I'll probably watch Women Talking. Hey, shout out to Dudley Dawson, by the way. Not really familiar with that name, so if you're new, what's good, homie? I had a hard time.
So you said you think you might watch that one?
Yeah, I'll watch it. It was like highly regarded. It was a really good movie, and I'm sure like the girls got their come up, but like all the shit that they go through to get to that point, it's like watching like 12 Years a Slave and shit like that. Like, I hate watching those things. Like, I know there's gonna be some, you know, thing where the girls fight back and get their power somehow, but every time I watch those things, I'm like, yeah, that's the exception. That's not the rule.
I think also the thing for me is that, like, watching things like that, when the girls get their get back, even in Handmaid's Tale, like, I felt like there's like a sadness that I feel inside
100%.
when women have to get to that level
100%.
that they would be that murderous or whatever to be able to fight back. So like, I'm like, yes, they're fighting back. And I'm always glad when they first start fighting back. But when I see what they're actually doing and the blood on their hands, I don't like it anymore. And I'm like, that person, they took so much from them that, like, because people, you can only live like so long in survival mode. It hardens you. You have to be able to be in an environment that like encourages like the softness in you. And these women were in such horrible situations that when they decide to fight back, they're so hardened by everything that they've already been through that they just.
Well, that's.
And then you see the character harden more, and it's
think that's the sort of vampiric nature of misogyny, where like once you get bitten by it, you become that thing. In order for these girls to survive in that environment, they had to masculinize themselves in order to confront that energy. Yeah. And so that's probably one of the reasons why, like, I hate watching those shows, because it's like, well, did the girls actually win? Yeah. Because all aspects of their femininity had been stripped from them, and they had to become these hard beings that they were not naturally in order to survive. And so they were, you know, like, for example, like there are a couple scenes when they're like killing dude and all this, and it's like, it, you know, it was supposed to be this big, I don't want to like spoil it, but it was supposed to be this big scene of vindication for the girls, but I mean, they got reduced to animalistic. Yeah. I mean, it was clearly an animalistic sort of, you know, motif that they were putting on there. They were chasing him in the woods and all this. Yeah.
And like the blood that was on, like, these are spoilers, so if you don't want any spoilers, shut it off for a little bit. But like the blood that was on her hands, and like I'm pretty sure that when she got back home, she went to her daughter with the blood on her hands. Right. And then, so yeah, like that whole aspect, like you could tell she was different.
By the end of it, you know, you become the thing that you're trying to fight against, and that's the ultimate loss. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. But anyways, the Scorched Earth is kind of, it is kind of positive in the sense that he's talking about a rebirth and things of that nature. And I think, like, that's happened with us for sure. Like, they're, depending on how people want to look at it, I still hear from people, oh, you went Scorched Earth, you did this, you did that, whatever. And obviously, my perspective is that the Scorched Earth is going in a different direction, but you know how it is with me. So I'm always the whatever. But, like, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to reinvent what your goals are. You have to rethink a lot of things. You have to rethink what your dreams are. You have to rethink. There's a lot of things you have to rethink after an event like that in your life. And I think for me, I managed pretty well with it because that's just how we grew up.
Yeah, I don't.
My mother was a very she didn't take long to set shit on fire with her. So
I'm not sure if I did any reinventing after everything. I feel like I jumped on with what you were doing.
Well, you're a much different person now than you were.
Yeah, but that way there was no planning. That was just.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. That doesn't necessarily mean that you plan to reinvent yourself, like you're doing it consciously. It's just a matter of
I'm a different
if you're going to continue to live after you Scorched Earth, then by necessity you're going to have to.
Oh yeah.
You're going to have to reorient all that stuff, and a lot of people are afraid of that, and that's a lot of people end up unaliving themselves because they don't see.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's true.
They don't see a different set of goals. They don't see another future after that.
I think that's why. Sorry if I get emotional. I think that's why some of the verses in the Bible are so important. Like there's one that says that he's always working the good out for us.
Right.
Like in our lives. So if you hit a point as a Christian where you're like, oh, I don't see a future there, you still know that there is a future because Jesus said there is one. So yay for the Bible.
Yeah. Orion's Protector. Why? Explain that name to me. That's an interesting name. Very, very interesting name. Yeah. So the song, on the outset, it looks like, just thrash raw, and it definitely was there, but definitely had a important message, I think, to the song.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that, to me, you could take the rebirth. Will you kiss me at my rebirth? Thing a lot of different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll take that one, I guess. I'm gonna take that one in a positive direction.
What do you give it?
Ooh, I really like this one. It got really heavy in the ways that I like, heavy. So I'm gonna go with a 9.3.
I was gonna check. I had a 9.4.
Oh really?
9.4. Yeah. Really, really good song. We're coming back with more metal goodness. Do not touch that dial, Dudley Dawson, among all the other new people. We will see you on the other side of this commercial break. Check out the commercial break, dear listener. It's going to be the most amazing commercial you've ever seen in your life.
That's true. That was a thrash song. I gave that one high rating.
Yeah, that was one of the first thrash songs you've ever really been nice to.
Yeah, I liked it.
We shall return, dear listener. Commercial break. Be right back.